It's pretty nice.
Is that backyard?
Yeah, he's showing off his rain fountain.
This kind of remind me of my backyard a little
Hey,
bit.
you need to go down to dispatch and educate Jeff on how to get a green yard.
I know.
Actually, he's off this week, but
I know if I can. I worked with Jeff a long time.
well, there's some challenges that we're actually experiencing that are sprinkler head related.
Oh, those are always fun to track.
Yes, yes. All right, he's working in the garage. He's off this week. He's working in the garage right now.
Nice.
Probably watching and listening.
Oh, right.
I'm sure I'll get texts later.
Well, I already got a text and my husband's all, tell Matt I said hi. And I'm like, Matt who?
Matt Felix.
I know now. Kevin Straub.
Oh!
I was like, oh, okay.
I used to live at his house with, Leah and
All them, yeah.
Kevin. I haven't seen them in years.
Yeah, everybody's doing good.
Still in the same house on Francis, yeah?
It's on Poppy.
I'm sorry, Papa.
Yeah, one over. But yes, they're still there.
Nice.
David's son just graduated on Friday.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's going to U of A, and
Cool.
Adam's right behind him. And
How old are you?
he's a sophomore. I think he's going to be a junior.
Okay.
So 16, 17, somewhere around in there.
Nice.
Yeah, they're getting there.
Yeah. I used to see him out the river every once in a while, but I
We
sold the
haven't-
boat to Jake or something, right?
Yeah, and we haven't had the boat for a while. When David wrecked in his boat, it was not.
Yeah.
We kind of said, okay, we're getting rid of that.
Yeah.
We had the big boat for the family and stuff, but we weren't going out as much as we used to. So yeah, they sold it to Jake. But we go out camping a lot still.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that a lot more, except for the summer.
Good. How's Mike and Leah?
They're doing good. They're doing really good. Mike is still working.
Yeah?
Not for long. I think he's getting.
Is he still out at the...
Yeah, he's
Wow,
still
he's been out there
Welton, Ohio.
forever.
Yeah, Leah's doing good. She's my babysitter. She takes
Nice.
care of my babies.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have her watch my babies.
They're good people.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
We hang out with them quite
Grew
a
up out
bit.
there. Used to sleep on the couch all the time.
Oh, how
Tanya, pull your
funny.
mic up close. Yeah, we're gonna make you talk too.
Thank you.
Matt, pull yours just a little bit closer.
Just a little bit closer. There you go. Perfect. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Today in Yuma. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Teresa.
Joining us this morning from the Yuma County Sheriff's Office, we have Tanya Pavlak. Good morning, Tanya.
Hello and good morning.
We also have Senior Deputy Felix joining us from Lake Patrol with the Sheriff's Office. Good morning.
Good morning.
The first name's Matt, in case anyone's curious.
You sounded like you were questioning it for a minute.
It's my choice of fonts I'm questioning this morning. All right, well, it's already a very busy time on the local waterways for the Yuma community, but Memorial Weekend really kicks off some of the larger crowds that like to gravitate towards the Yuma area. I know we get a lot of people from California. The lakes and the rivers are different than the ocean. They like to come explore what we have to offer here, but we're going to be talking about some things that people need to keep in mind when they are enjoying the lakes and the rivers and anything else in between during our, well, year round, but especially during our summer months when we have larger crowds here in our community. And you obviously are the man to talk to about that.
Well, glad to talk about it.
Well, first off, if I'm on a boat and I'm drunk, rules don't apply, right?
That's the thought anyways, but no,
That is not the case.
that's not the case for sure.
All right. If you're operating a vessel, the same rules apply. You cannot be under the influence of anything other than happiness.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. It's the same just like on the road. It's the same blood, alcohol content, everything like that.
All right. Now, how old do you have to be to safely operate a water vessel?
So in Arizona, you don't have to be 12 years old to operate a vessel.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
pretty young.
That is really young.
So-
I'm not going to let my son touch the steering wheel on a
Right.
vessel like that.
Exactly. So yeah, it's only 12 years old in Arizona. Obviously, we do encourage all operators to go through like a safety course. Arizona Game and Fish has online their little boater quiz and stuff like that. So
I think even if you're not the one that's going to be operating the vehicle, it's important to educate yourself on things because something could happen.
And I know we're thinking boats in general, but there's jet skis, there's all these different vehicles. So yes, a 12-year-old may be operating one of those, but still you want to go through those safety courses.
correct. Yeah, and even just like on the personal watercraft, I mean those things get up to 60, 70 miles an hour now. And if you could imagine a 12-year-old trying to operate that on his own, that's obviously pretty unsafe for the most part,
Absolutely.
So-
Well, especially when we have larger crowds
Correct.
at the lakes and along the river. Those are important things to keep in mind. And when you are talking about a watercraft, we're going to focus on a boat because even with the personal watercraft, is there a way to stow required items on those? Do they?
So most of them do have like a storage compartments that
Okay.
they could put stuff in, yeah.
But if you are operating a boat, there are required things that you need to have on board.
Right.
What are those?
So all people on board the vessel have to have a U.S. Coast Guard approved life preserver, and they need to be in good working order and they need to fit properly. So we like to encourage, check on the label. It actually says U.S. Coast Guard approved on the label. Check all the buckles and fasteners, zippers. Make sure those are all good, and obviously make sure the shell of the life jacket is not torn and everything like that. Make sure it's in good working order.
And they can get damaged over time. They can tear if they're left out in the direct sun. Sometimes the sun kind of beats down on them. It can do a number on anything that you have on your watercraft. Anything in Yuma really can kind of
Definitely.
be beaten by the intense sun. But size is very important too. We've spoken before about the little ones, and you need to make sure that they have properly fitting the personal flotation devices.
Correct. Yeah, we need to make sure they fit. A lot of them have like the different weight limits on each life jacket. So it's important to do that because if a smaller one with a smaller child falls in the water with a bigger vest, it's actually going to work against them because it's
Exactly.
going to hold them under the water rather than keep them above water.
And what are the rules for children and life vests on boats?
Okay, so any child 12 years or under has to have a life jacket on while the boat is underway. And just to keep in mind, a vessel underway could just be drifting down the water. Okay.
Okay, good point.
Right. So even if they're just floating down in the current, it's still considered underway. So if it's not anchored or moored, they have to have a life jacket on.
Good information.
It is, and it's important. That's one of the things that my child hated it, but he learned it. If you want to be at the river, this is the way it's got to be. Because and we just kept it on the whole entire time. Because even when you're anchored or you're out on the sandbar, boats are coming through. The wave, the little wakes that come through could easily trip them, and they could get washed away. One of the things I really liked. When we would go out to the lake and the river and things, one time, and I loved it and I hated it, but the sheriff's department gave them little whistles that you can put on their actual flotation vest, and that way if they, God forbid, you had an accident or they got swept away, they could blow that whistle and they could be found because
That's a
their
great
little
idea.
their little voices, you're not going to hear them, especially with all the commotion going on. Now they learned how to use them and they use them very well, but it was good for them to recognize that was there. If you need help, those little things, and even if you aren't don't have them available, get a little whistle, something that because they are little, and God forbid there's an accident or something, they're going to get thrown. You want to make sure you can find them.
Right. And there is actually specific whistles for the water
Okay.
that don't have like the wooden ball inside
Yeah,
them. Because if those get wet, the whistle's obviously not going to work. So they do actually have them for marine use.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that idea too.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, heck, I may not like them right now, but if God forbid we need them, they're going to do its job. So
Now, if you're in a vessel, you also need to make sure that you have proper flags on board.
So if you're actually water skiing or towing somebody on like a tube or whatnot, yes, you do have to have a flag, and the correct measurements on them is 12 by 12. It has to be fluorescent orange or red. And in order to tow somebody, there has to be at least 2 people on the boat. So
Okay.
there has to be the operator of the boat and there has to be an observer.
Okay.
Yeah.
A spotter.
a
Yes.
spotter,
Yes.
yeah.
Sometimes I see that's not always the case.
Right. Yeah, and we see that every once in a while, or we see them trying to wave their life jackets around or something like
To
that.
get attention.
Right. Yeah, and
Now-
that's not.
I wonder if that is a rule that is similar or varies from California waterways.
No, they have the same rule.
Okay.
From what I understand, it's the same dimensions on the flag and same coloring.
All right.
So it's typically a Coast Guard regulation that we also enforce because that way it keeps it uniform.
Well, I like that we have the commonalities and the rules there because again, people from Yuma go to San Diego, Californians come here, but it's important if you are traveling places, familiarize yourself with the rules that they have. You don't want to get popped for something that you're like, well, that's ridiculous. Well, you need to respect the laws wherever you're going. We want them to do that here.
Right.
You know, we talked about if boats are going by or some type of vessel and the kids are out there, you know, the weight can easily kind of push them away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the conditions because they can change quickly. These are living bodies of water.
Right. So yeah, the water fluctuates quite a bit here in the Colorado River just because of the irrigation and the flow that goes into Mexico and stuff like that. So the channels out here and the sandbars are ever changing. So it's important that one day you might know where the channel is, and then the next day that can completely change. As you're aware, you've been out to the river before, and we see a lot of people get stuck on sandbars and accidents where they went the day before, but then they try to go on the same route, and then they end up grounding their boats. And
is that one of the biggest rescue efforts that you think you have, is getting people off sandbars?
Yeah, we see it quite a bit. It's a common problem. A lot of people haven't been to our waterways in quite a while, and they think they know the waterways, and they've changed. So
again, even just days apart, and we see
Right.
this too down below the ocean-to-ocean bridge.
Right.
People that are swimming down at the river, it can drop off drastically. You think you can just wade across pretty easily, and then you have big pockets.
Right. Yeah, and then plus with the currents and everything like that, yeah, it's a recipe for disaster for sure.
Lots of factors. One of the most important things, we cannot stress this enough, and Mike Erfurt will share this a little bit later this week from the fire department, responsible supervision is key. You think you might be out there on the sandbar and stuff and the kids are okay, you still need to have someone responsible watching them at all times because things happen fast.
Right. Yeah, it's a fluid
And not just kids,
situation.
adults as well.
Yes.
Exactly. Good point. That's what I was going to share too. Is if obviously we get out there and people get to drinking and stuff. If one of your friends or somebody from your party is going to get to drinking, keep an eye on them because we've had problems where grown adults have been swept off the sandbars as well, and we've had to rescue them. And obviously they're not wearing life jackets and stuff like that. So luckily we got to them in time. But
We've had some tragic situations over many, many years out at Martinez Lake, Mitre, and the Colorado River. But one of the big things, because we do get a lot of traffic during these holiday weekends, a lot of people enjoying the same space.
Mm-hmm.
What do people really need to be aware of?
I would just say, just a big thing out there is obviously a lot of people take their dogs out there. We have a lot of people where they're not watching their dogs. They end up dogs getting in fights and stuff like that, and that obviously breeds fights between their owners and stuff like
A
that
little
too.
discontentment.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That, and I mean, just respect each other's space. Pick up your trash. If you're going to be out there, and then
And respect each other on the waterways.
Exactly.
There's no reason to rush to try and get out to that sandbar. You guys are all trying to put in at the same places, trying to get out at the same time, and follow those no wake zones and things like that. It's definitely important to remember those safety tips. Have a designated driver for the vessel. I mean, that's I think one of the most important things, because when you get to drinking and you're having a good time, maybe you're a little rushing, and that's when accidents happen. So we want to do what we can to try and keep everyone safe. And just like it when you plan a night out, you plan a sober driver. Same rule would apply for a boat or a vessel.
right. And to take it even a step further on planning for a designated operator. I would encourage everybody to actually make what's called a float plan. So you're going to go through, you're going to check your boat, make sure all your fuel lines are good, make sure nothing's leaking before you go out, check all your life jackets, check your fire extinguishers, make sure those are properly charged.
And that you have the correct ones
And that
required.
exactly, make sure they're Coast Guard approved. And then just let somebody know where you're going to go. Let them know, if you're going to go out to the river, Mitre Lake, what have you. And then just let them know approximately where you're going to be and approximately what time you're going to be back.
That way they know if something, okay, this is way past the time they're supposed to be here. We need to go find them.
Right.
Exactly.
And then what you do is you write down, obviously, your vehicle information, a description of it, license plate, stuff like that. That way it gives us a better understanding of where we might be able to find
That's a
somebody.
good idea.
Yeah, and a boat description, that kind of thing, registration number. That really helps us out in the long run.
And I'm glad you mentioned the fire extinguishers. I know that there was a big boat fire this past weekend out there. There was nothing left of it, so
Right.
those types of things are important, and that goes along with checking your mechanics, making sure everything is properly put together. We know there's a lot of vessels that are, kind of tuned and all
Right.
those different things. So you want to make sure everything is working properly.
Yes, exactly. And then also, you want to check your trailer as well. That often gets overlooked. We see a lot of accidents where they blow out tires on trailers or wheel bearings go out because it's just one of the things that we really don't pay attention to like we should.
Well, we will have extra individuals out on the roadways and the waterways, and please remember, be responsible. That is so very important. I know we're going to have extra patrols from a variety of agencies, just as they generally are over the holiday weekends. We want to keep everyone safe, and the Yuma County Sheriff's Office does work in conjunction with other agencies. I know Game and Fish, they patrol the waterways too. We have Imperial County. You know, we have a lot of crossover areas too, and they're
And
just
you
looking
make
to
your
keep-
presence known, and I like that. It's
Right.
a little comforting knowing that they're there.
Yeah, we work closely with all those agencies to include U.S. Fish and Wildlife because there is a big wildlife refuge, Imperial Wildlife Refuge. So we do work in conjunction with all of those different agencies, and we like to get out and talk to people. We'll stop at the Sandbars and see what's going on and talk with people. And usually, if we see smaller children with their life jackets on, wearing them responsibly, sometimes we'll have prizes for them and stuff like that. So
I love that.
yeah. So,
Now, Senior Deputy Felix, we mentioned to, the sheriff's office, their presence is known out there. If someone does have a situation, where's the substation? Where can they find a deputy if they need one?
So the best bet out there is most of the time we're out on the water. So the best bet would just be get a hold of our dispatch. Obviously, if it's an emergency, call 911. But a lot of times we're just out there on the boats. If they see us and they have an issue, feel free to flag us down. We're always willing, and we like to stop and talk to people. So.
You're not out there trying to squash their good time, but
And-
No.
your goal is for public safety, to keep everyone safe.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's important to, like you mentioned, don't be afraid to call non-emergency or 911 because they will get a hold of you and get you there.
right. Yeah, and that's the easiest way to honestly to get a hold of us through our dispatch center. They could get us on the radio and stuff like that.
All right. Hydration, and water is best.
Yes.
Even if you're going to get out there and indulge in an adult beverage or 2 or 3 or 4, make sure you're drinking water too, because we're going to, those triple digits are just 2 days away.
Right.
And we're likely going to see 100 at least through the entire Memorial holiday. And when you're in the water, you still need to drink the water.
Not the water.
Not the
Yeah.
river
Not
water.
the river
Not the
water.
river water.
No, that's for sure.
All right.
Bottled water, please.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having us.
And Tanya, I know you're going to be releasing information soon about some of the things to remember about some expanded holiday patrols and things you just need to be aware of.
Absolutely, yes. And also, just a reminder, there is still construction going on your way to the lake. So just be mindful of all the construction signs and rules.
All right. Thank you both so much for joining us.
No, thank you.
We are going to take our Lotus Day Spa and Salon selfie out in the courtyard. We'll be back with a few more minutes of the Today in Yuma show after this on Z93 and Outlaw Country.
I didn't realize there was